follow me under when I'm crumbling? Every night I wonder, will it ever end? Sometimes I can barely breathe, dear. Sometimes I don't wanna be here. Sometimes I don't wanna be here. Sometimes I don't wanna be here. Demons always bother me. I'm leaving, but they follow me. Will you follow me under when I'm crumbling? Every night I wonder, will it ever end? Sometimes I can barely breathe, dear. Sometimes I don't wanna be here. Sometimes I don't wanna be here. Will you follow me under? Sometimes I don't wanna be here. 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 Eyes and feet shut tight for my sleepless nights. Feel it closing in. No holding back, it's time. Wrong in my right one. Surely I'm convinced. Oh, we've been here before. Armor sword, numbers fit up my nose. Half dead and asleep, my nest of dreams. Will you be ready when the darkness comes? Clothe ourselves in light, hoping we'll survive. Won't raise a white flag, 'cause I'll die on this hill, 'cause they're coming for the kill. Even though my mind is reeling still. Oh, we've been here before. Armor sword, to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older. I still remember the smell of your perfume. It hasn't left me since the day you made me blue. I think I saw you, but I know I'm not supposed to. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I don't believe in ghosts. 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 Do you remember the day in October? The leaves were falling just like me when it was over. One more day of sorrow and I'll struggle to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older. I still remember the smell of your perfume. It hasn't left me since the day you made me blue. I think I saw you, but I know I'm not supposed to. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. Ghosts, yeah. Ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. I still remember the smell of your perfume. It hasn't left me since the day you made me blue. I think I saw you, but I know I'm not supposed to. I must be dreaming, cause I don't believe in ghosts, yeah. Do you remember a day in October? The leaves were falling just like me when it was over. One more day of sorrow and I'll struggle to stay sober. Hope to see you later when I get older.
everyone, how's it going? How's it going? Sorry for the delay. Had something to take care of. Hope you're all doing well. Let me just say, the kick bots are back. Thank you. Let me see. Thank you, Brandon, for the follow. I appreciate it. And congrats, the wrench, on being fast. Hope you're doing well. So, today, well, it's been a while. I've been very busy. How's it going? So essentially, I was kind of changing up like the content I do for YouTube, and I've been like on a roll, basically, like recording a lot of videos, releasing them. One's just gone out today as well. Essentially, a lot of it's covering Black Myth Wukong. There is another video coming out later this week that is separate from that. It's going to be part of a little series I'm working on. There's no real time scale for that series because there's a lot of stuff I've got to do for it. So yeah, once it drops, you'll see what it's about, and then hopefully people will kind of understand why. But yeah, I've been doing a lot on Black Myth. I was gonna stream something tonight, but I thought, you know what, we'll have a chill one. My thing is not working for some reason. Why is it not working? Give me a second, I'll fix that for you. Why are you not connected? You know, it's been that long since I have streamed. My my item throwing thing isn't working. Let me do that for. Oh, Giganto. Okay, these ones are new one. On screen celebration, Gigantify and emote, message effects. Okay, those are new. Let me redeem that for you. There we are. Thank you for throwing stuff. Right, so today we are going to be kind of having a chill one. We're going to be doing some discussion about the new Elden Ring DLC coming out. I believe it's tomorrow, which I am excited for. I have pre-ordered it, so I am ready to install it. I am ready to suffer. I'm really excited for it. It's been getting a bunch of really good reviews. Essentially, everyone's saying it's their biggest DLC they've done, and it could take you ages. Like, it's basically a game in itself, essentially, which is really good. There's a bunch of new weapons, bunch of new spells, bunch of new everything, so it's going to be a good one. I also want to talk a bit about Black Myth. Man, Black Myth, it has been going crazy for the collector's editions. I have seen all the talk. Give me a second. I'll look at that later. Yeah, so I've been seeing all the talk about like the collector's editions for Black Myth, and like honestly, like people have been like struggling to get them. I can't wait. Like as soon as they announced it, like what was it, 3 years ago, I was like, yes, this is my game. I need this. How's it going, Vorka? How's it going? Yeah, so I was like, so let's bring up a couple of images and stuff while we're talking. Black Myth Collector's Edition. So if you look at like the Collector's Edition, right? I was like so down to get it, right? But it is just not worth it in my opinion. Let me switch scenes. And then we'll go. God, it's been so long since I've used this. I think that's the one. Yeah. So okay, let's just not do what I wanted to do. So this is the collector's edition, right? Let me scooch down into the corner. How you doing, Vorkar? Yeah, so the collector's edition, like, I was so down to buy it, right? Like, you get the steel box, which is just great. Obviously, you get the box it comes in as well, which has like some really nice art on it. You get the steel box. You don't get, well, you do get the game, but you don't get a physical copy. You get a digital code, which is a bit interesting, I'll say the least. And then like other physical goods you get. So you got like the stamps and postcard, the certificate, teaching of heaven of teach. My friggin' light is blinding me. Teaching of the Heart Sutra, which is an art piece, which is quite nice. You get the Thunderstone ring, the wind chime necklace, and the gold sun crow pin. And then obviously the main drawing feature of the collector's edition is the Confront Destiny figure, as they're calling it. It's a really nice looking figure, but I was just like, it's $400, right? I don't want to spend that kind of money. And then like you compare it to like the deluxe. Let me open in new tab. That's what we want. That is not what we want. That's tiny. Okay, let me try and find a better one. Okay, I think that'll do. Open image in new tab. Okay, that's a bit better. So the deluxe, which is what I ended up going for. You get the postcards, you get the warranty certificate, you get the steel case, you get the box that it comes in, you get a different art piece, which is still a pretty nice one. If I remember correctly, it is it's to do with the Heavenly Peach Garden. Hey, how's it going? Hey, me too, man, me too. I can't wait. And then obviously you get the ring, the chime, the pin. So like pretty much everything's the same as the collectors. Like the only difference is these two here. The art piece is different in the two of them. And then instead of getting the figure in the deluxe, you get the 1-for-1 scale replica of the headband. And I was like, to be honest, I think that would look nicer on display because I've already got like a lot of stuff to do with like Wukong anyway. So I was like, the headband would be so nice in my room. And it's also like half the price. So, wow, it's more than half the price difference. So I was like, yeah, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit. So I ended up getting the digital, not the digital deluxe, yeah. So from what people have said to me in the Black Myth Wukong fan Discord, the company that makes it is a very good company for these types of like figures and statues and stuff. And they usually charge a lot more, but because they're friends with the is it the director, the producer, the main guy in charge of Black Myth, because they're like friends, it's like discounted essentially, which is all right, but like it looks nice, I'll give it that. But if you check it, like it looks nice, but I don't want to pay like $400 just for like the only difference being these. Like to me, what the collectors should have been is everything here, plus the crown, plus the art piece. Because to me, the collectors should be an extension of the deluxe. It shouldn't be an like a costlier alternative to the deluxe. So you should get everything that comes in the deluxe in the collectors, which just wasn't the case. I mean, you get a majority of it, but like I'd want the art pieces mainly more than anything, and then the crown, because I think the crown is quite a nice piece you can have on display in your house and stuff. So I was like, because you get in the ring, you get in the chime necklace, and you get in the pin. So it's like a nice little combination of having the 4 items to put on display. Whereas like the figure, you'd have the figure, you'd have the other stuff as well, but yeah. The pre-order, so isn't it the only thing we actually get in pre-order as like a bonus is the it's the gourd, isn't it? The red gourd. Yes, here, isn't it? Pre-order now to receive the Trailblazers Scarlet Gourd. Let's open that up. So you get the pre-order bonus is the Trailblazers Scarlet Gourd, but you can get it in the game anyway. From what I've read, like you get it at some point in the game anyway, and then the digital deluxe, which you get if you get the collectors or the digital set, is the actual set. So you only get this set if you get the digital deluxe or the deluxe or the collector's edition. Like the pre-order is basically just the gourd, but you get the gourd in the game anyway. But you also get like the soundtrack and stuff, which is really nice. You get wind chimes. You basically get like a full set of armor. And then obviously the game. Yeah. You get a staff as well. I'm pretty sure all this stuff is gonna be like really good. Like, because I'm assuming, I haven't looked properly, but I'm assuming the gear and the weapons and stuff are gonna have like stats tied to them. I mean, it makes sense. Like most action RPGs do. So I'm going to assume that this digital deluxe stuff you get is going to be better than your starting stuff in the game, but you'll replace it quite early on. That's how it normally goes, unless it's like, unless they've got it set up where like the game itself is like the gear you can upgrade and kind of like improve it, and like kind of like Dark Souls and stuff where like you can use any weapon and just upgrade it, or the armor doesn't matter as much, it just gives you like some slight stat changes that like don't really affect you, but we'll have to see. One thing I do want to do, just bear with me. Okay. Let's bring up this, minimize that. So, I want to go over some videos I've seen to do with...
Nothing to wear. It's now free to sell. Pre-owned clothes on...
Right, so we got a few videos I want to watch because they're... Thoughts on the new game plus. So the game has been, they have confirmed that the game comes with new game plus, which I think is a very good thing. It's gonna have multiple endings. It's gonna have new game plus. So you're gonna get a lot of replayability with the game, which I think is a good thing. The only kind of concern I have is, so if you look at like, I'm going to keep comparing it to Souls-likes, right? Because they're, like, the most common games where you've got stuff like New Game Plus and multiple endings and whatnot. So, with it being a single-player game, I do worry that there might not be enough content in the game to keep you, like, playing it a lot. Obviously, you've got like the replayability with the new game plus and the multiple endings, but it really depends like on how many multiple endings there are and what kind of changes come with new game plus. Because if you look at like Elden Ring, for example, you do have new game plus, you do have multiple endings, but you've also got like PvP in there. You've got like you can spend a lot of time like doing like the co-op stuff and not having to actually like push through. Let us actually be immortal. But you give me new. So I don't know with the immortality. So I had a theory before that we aren't so it's being confirmed now, but we're not playing as Wukong. We're playing as some other monkey, whether that's a descendant of Wukong. Hey, you're right, Minako. How you doing? So we're not. Yeah, he came in just as a ad came on. Yeah, so we're not playing as Wukong. That's being confirmed now, which is great because I was like curious at the start, just like monkey. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there will be immortality. So originally my idea was they could have immortality in the game, but there was different ways they could implement it. So one way of seeing it happen in games is the main character was immortal, so they couldn't die. But you had like an NPC with you, and that NPC could be attacked, and you had to try and keep that NPC alive during the whole like game. So that's like one way to tackle immortality. Hey, I'm doing good, Minako. I hope you're doing well as well. It has been a while. It's good to see you. Another way they could do it is, so there was one that I thought was pretty big brain, right? And I'm kind of sad that it hasn't happened. I was thinking, right, the new game plus could be the immortality saving you essentially. So when you die, you kind of like start a new game plus, but it doesn't like, it starts you from where you are, right? How's it going? But yeah, no, I think it would be a bit like complicated and kind of like make things worse in the end. But it was kind of like along the lines of like the new game plus is the immortality and it's protecting you from that death. But I just don't think they're gonna have immortality in the game now. Hey, you're right. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Hope you're doing well. So I think with it being like another character as well, with it not being Wukong, it kind of makes sense because it does seem like a lot of the skills we use, or at least that we know about, like the clones and stuff, we're going to learn them from different enemies by defeating the bosses and stuff. There are some that you unlock through the talent tree and leveling up, but as far as I'm aware, a lot of it is going to be learned through like defeating certain bosses and then through the talent tree upgrading it. So it's going to be interesting. But we'll jump in with this video and check it out. And because I have not seen this one yet, it's 10 cool new details you probably don't know about Black Myth. So it's a good place to start.
Since it was first unveiled 4 years ago, Black Myth Wukong has looked increasingly promising with each new showing, not only because of how technically impressive and graphically gorgeous it's looked each time, but also because of the lofty promises it's made with its combat, its rich Chinese mythology-inspired setting, its action RPG mechanics, and more. Ahead of the game's looming launch in August, several outlets recently published hands-on impressions, revealing new details on the action RPG in the lead-up to its release. Here, we're going to go over some of the most significant of all these newly revealed details.
One thing I do want to say, so it's been confirmed that when we defeat this boss, we get their form as a transformation. And apparently the transformations, they have like a cooldown, so you can use one, but then you have it for a short amount of time, and then you revert back to normal, and then it's on cooldown for a while. But it's going to be cool to see like what other kind of like enemies you can turn into and like what abilities they have and stuff. Because obviously this guy is like very kind of like fire focused with his attacks.
Not entirely a Souls-like.
Yeah, this is something I went over in my video that just released. Essentially, it's not a Souls-like, it's an action RPG with some Souls-like qualities. So you've got like the Estus Flask, you've got enemies respawn when you die. You got those kind of things. You got bonfires, well, shrines which are bonfires, those kind of things. But it's primarily an action RPG, so it is going to be easier than a Souls-like would be in combat. Like, you're not going to get punished as much if you get hit and stuff, which is really nice.
Since it was unveiled, Black Myth Wukong has been classified as a Souls-like by almost everyone who has spoken about it, but developer Game Science is now indicating that the game doesn't necessarily fall into that genre, at least not entirely. As per recently published previews, though Black Myth Wukong certainly does have Souls-like elements, it doesn't abide by the genre's playbook every step of the way. It will differ from your typical Souls-likes in a number of ways, including letting you pause the action at any time. You only lose a fraction of your earned XP upon death. You have a...
Like, this is the outfit I want, man. This outfit right here, I'm pretty sure... I don't think it's your default one, but, like... It's a clean outfit, like the blue robes with the tiger pelt on it. Oh,
set primary weapon, progression being
looks
handled
so good.
through a skill tree, the skill tree being accessible anywhere and at any time, and other differences that we'll be speaking about in this feature. Speaking of which...
With Virgin Media's M125 broadband, go fast. Go lightning fast with our reliable network. Just £27 a month with no setup fee. So why go fast?
Good old advert,
faster
eh?
combat. Here's another area where...
So I'll just pause it here. So the cloud, the Nimbus cloud is going to be in the game. The only thing with the Nimbus clouds is... What do you mean? Yeah, it's one of the, like, broadband suppliers we got over here. The Nimbus cloud is in the game, right? But I think it's going to be tied to certain levels, and it's not going to be something you can just summon to, like, zoom all over the place.
Where Black Myth Wukong is looking to offer a different kind of experience from what you may be used to seeing in most Souls-like titles. Multiple recent previews from IGN to Games Radar...
Yeah, honestly, the combat looks so fast compared to Souls-likes. It's so good. I can't wait to just, like, jump on and see how fast and fluid it is.
have described the game's combat being much faster, more nimble, and more agile than what the genre is typically known for. Protagonist Sun Wukong is a
It's because you're in the chat, Vorka.
fast-moving character who jumps and twirls around, zips around the arena to dodge attacks, and deals out fast and furious strikes with his staff. Obviously, faster
It's going good, Vorka. It's going good.
combat isn't necessarily something that Souls-likes are complete strangers to, but Black Myth does look like it will be leaning harder on that style of gameplay than some may have expected. More dodge-focused.
Yeah, the one thing, 52, I'm not 52. Stop making me out to be some old man. Close enough to retirement. Anyway, so the one thing I did find out from the recent with the recent videos and gameplay and stuff. So with it being more dodge focused, essentially you can do up to 3 dodges, and then your dodges go on cooldown. So you need to kind of like be kind of like sparing with your dodges and not be like too aggressive with the dodge spamming. Otherwise, you'll just get punished for it. So you just want to keep that in mind. You want to try not to like dodge a lot, but you've got to rely on dodging. Yeah.
Black Myth Wukong will subvert genre combat conventions by de-emphasizing blocking and parrying, to the extent that it's looking like the game won't let you block and parry attacks at all. Players will have the ability to block incoming projectiles by spinning Wukong staff really fast.
Yeah, this is one thing I forgot to mention as well in my video. The video I've done today, that came out today, I was going to mention it in there about the blocking. So there's no blocking in the game, but there is blocking. What it does is, I don't know if you've seen the clip, but there's a clip where Wukong basically spins his staff around really fast and like spins it on either side of him, and it blocks like the incoming arrow fire. That is his block essentially, but it only works on projectiles. It's not going to work on like melee attacks and stuff. So you're going to be very like reliant on your dodging for melee.
But there will be no traditional block if you're looking to, say, deal with an incoming melee blow. Instead, if you're looking to avoid damage, Black Myth Wukong combat will revolve entirely around dodging. How dodging works. How exactly is dodging going to work then? Black Myth Wukong might not be an out-and-out Souls-like, but it is going to be a challenging game nonetheless, which means endlessly spamming the dodge button is not going to be an option. Instead, as described in IGN's preview, Black Myth will let players dodge thrice in quick succession, but after those dodges, the next one will lock you into a lengthy recovery window before you can dodge again. Timing your dodges will also be key thanks to a perfect dodge mechanic that will see you earning focus every time you pull off a dodge with perfect timing. And what exactly...
I think they're going to say it here, but essentially what focus is you build it up through attacking and perfect dodging, and you can use it, you expend it when you use your heavy attacks, and when you do those heavy attacks, you can essentially put them in part of your like regular combo, and they will deal extra damage and will heal you for a small amount from what I remember.
Is focus. Focus. Focus is a core mechanic that you're going to have to pay attention to if you want to get the most out of the combat in Black Myth Wukong.
Thank you for that.
And what exactly will it do? Hitting enemies with combos of your light attacks, executing perfect dodges, and the like will reward you with focus. And once you've filled your bar up, you'll be rewarded with a focus point. That, in turn, can be used to unleash a heavy attack that you can integrate into your combo chain, allowing you to unleash stronger moves on enemies to deal heavier damage. Figuring out the right time for using focus points to unleash heavy attacks will be a...
One other thing you can use it for is certain skills that you unlock. So I think one of them that's going to require focus points is your clones. I think the way that's going to work is you get the focus point, you have a certain button, you press for it, and then you can summon the clones. It also looks like through the talent tree, you'll be able to unlock your, upgrade your skills. So the clones again, for example, we've seen it in various footage already, but there's one point, like, there's a lot of examples where he'll summon like 5 clones, and then there's like another example where it goes into like almost like a little cutscene where you kind of like zoom into third person, looking at him plucking the hairs and then blowing them, and then like 10 clones come out. Hey, no worries, man. I'm just talking about what I like, so it's all good for me. But thank you for supporting. But yeah, the it does look like you'll be able to upgrade at least the clone ability, if not your other skills. It doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't be able to upgrade the other ones. It's just I'm not sure uh like what they do when upgraded, because obviously you've got an invisibility, you've got the ring of fire where he creates a ring of fire around himself. You've got the stone. I'm calling it stone skin. I don't know the official name for it, but essentially what it does is it will like block a hit, and then you can kind of like follow up. And then there's another one which is immobilize, which will stun the target for like a short amount of time, so you can do like a follow up attack on them. My guess is like immobilize will probably like last a bit longer. Same with invisibility. The stone skin will probably be able to block more hits and stuff. It kind of is. It kind of is. Let me try and find, because I've got footage of it somewhere. Let me just find it quickly. I think it's in my first video I did on Black Myths, so let me just go grab that. And I'm going to tell you. I really need to find my script actually, so I can just like get directly to the point that we need to be at. Okay. That's his stuff. Ah, perfect, perfect. I found it. So let's just bring this over. Just do this. So, hey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Right, so this is the Ring of Fire. Essentially, he like he does like a circle. Hey, thank you for the follow. He does like a circle around him with the staff, and it just kind of sets the circle on fire. What? Yeah, I can do that. Oh, thank you for the follow as well. Yeah. Why do you want me smaller? Is that better for you? There we are. You want to read the YouTube chat? Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Right, so this is the Ring of Fire, and what we've seen that it can do so far is it's kind of like a protective circle, but it's not. Essentially, it creates like a ring of fire around him, and certain enemies will hurt themselves if they try to like attack you through it. So, it's a monkey. Yeah. So, for example, they showed this bit. I don't know if I actually recorded it properly. Yeah. So it's against the macaque boss. The macaque boss is afraid of fire from what we've seen. So by using the ring of fire, the macaque boss gets scared when he hits into the fire, and he backs off to try and like dampen the fire, which then gives him enough time, the player, to like pull out the gourd to like heal. This is the parry I was on about. It's your one way of blocking that's like kind of guaranteed. Essentially, you like turn your. I'm calling it stone skin because I think that's what it's probably going to be called. It could be called something else though, but essentially you like turn your skin to stone or something, and it will block a hit. So like certain enemies, like a lot of the weaker enemies will just like they'll try and hit you, and then they'll like bounce off you, essentially, so you can follow up properly with an attack. Bosses and stronger enemies, it won't always work. So there's a few occasions in this. Oh dears. So essentially, like you saw there, the boss hit him. The boss hurt its hand, so it kind of shook its hand a bit in pain. Other times I've seen it, like, there's a point where the boss kind of dives at him, and he does it then, and it just blocks the hit completely, and then, like, the boss just kind of, like, essentially gets, like, knocked to the floor, so you can follow up better. From my understanding with the spells, the more you use them on enemies, the more resistant they become. So if you keep spamming Immobilize on an enemy, they're going to start to resist it a lot more. Or it's going to, like, be a shorter duration and stuff. So, yeah, you just need to keep an eye out for that. But we'll go back to this video now.
Large part of many of the game's tougher combat encounters, especially the boss fights. Magic. In addition to Wukong's
I'm just going to go over it now anyway.
You'll also have access to magical abilities. Players will have 4 slots open for magical spells, with multiple spells becoming available for each slot as you progress deeper into the game. Magic will, of course, require mana, and players will be able to use a number of different kinds of spells. For instance, one spell in particular that a number of previews have described is Immobilize, which, as its name suggests, will allow you to completely freeze enemies in their tracks for brief windows, which may get briefer.
Yeah, this is going to be so good for bosses.
Allowing you to dodge their attacks and land plenty of your own attacks instead.
Like, imagine you've just used, like, all your dodges, and you've got Immobilize ready. You could just throw that out to quickly, like, reposition and get a hit in. And then, like, it's going to give you a bit of time to, like, essentially reduce the cooldown on your dodges and maybe get one back. So it's going to be quite crucial. I think that and the stone skin are going to be used quite a lot. The fire ring, I think, is going to be quite specific. And I think the clones is going to be, like, I'm going to use the clones a lot. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to, like, max the hell out of that skill. I'm just going to be there sending the boys in. Any boss, any minion, anything. Just send the boys in.
Supercharge your business with the all-new
Okay, we get a
Shopify
lovely
point of
advert.
sale, the all-in-one POS.
There we are.
Transformations. Another key mechanic that will play a major role.
So one thing with the transformations, it hasn't been confirmed, but we was talking about it in the Discord. Like in one of them, I can't remember which one, because there's like 2 Discords for Black Myth. The transformations, stuff like the cicada and the bat, apparently they won't be ones we can use. They are ones that are going to happen, like, when moving us between scenes. You'll be able to, like, control them at certain points, but you won't be able to just, like, use that transformation. A lot of the transformations we're going to be able to use are going to be, like, boss-specific ones. So you're going to defeat a boss to unlock their transformation, like with Quan Chi, because Quan Chi is one of the ones that's confirmed. There's another one which is like a rock monster demon thing, but I don't know what it's called.
In Black Myth Wukong's core loop is transformations, which will essentially let you temporarily take on the form of select bosses and mini-bosses that you find and defeat throughout your journey. As per several recently published previews, an early mini-boss that players will be able to transform into upon defeating it is Guangxi, a formidable wolfman monstrosity that wields a giant flaming weapon. For short windows, players will be able to play as the creatures they transform into, which will also mean having full access to their attacks and abilities. Exactly how much freedom the game will afford in this area remains to be seen, but it's certainly a mechanic that promises to set the game apart from other similar action RPGs or Souls-like adjacent experiences. Stances. Black Myth Wukong will also give players access to 3 different combat stances, each of which will bring different playstyles and abilities. You'll start with the Smash stance, which is a jack-of-all-trades sort of deal, giving you access to basic, quick combos of light attacks as well as regular heavy attacks. At level 20, you'll attack the second stance, which is the Pillar stance.
See, in the demo that they played recently, they got the pillar stance at level 5. So it's interesting to know it's going to be level 20 in the actual game. So essentially, like, the stances are going to be like how you change up your fighting style. So smash stance, which is the fast one, is just like simple combos and heavy smash attacks. Pillar stance, which he's going to explain now, is essentially it's similar with the basic attacks, but the kind of the special heavy attacks are is you kind of climb on top of your staff, and then the staff will grow over time, and you'll be able to release it to like follow up with like a massive hit. They did show it off. They've shown it off quite a few times, but I think the best time they've shown it was when they showed the fight against the dragon, because the dragon's like charging to do like this powerful charge attack, and you've just got Wu. I'm gonna call him Wukong. He's not Wukong, but we'll call him Wukong just for easiness of discussion. But essentially he climbs to the top of his staff. And then, like, when the dragon comes in, he like releases the hit and just like one shots the dragon. It's such a cool scene they showed. I'll try and find it later if it's not in this. Yeah, it's this bit. So I don't know if they'll show it, but essentially he's charged up the heavy attack, and then the dragon's like releasing this like lightning storm, and then comes charging in, and when he comes charging in, he just releases it and just does like a massive like hit to the dragon.
Remaining balanced atop Wukong's staff long enough for a focus point to recharge, which you can then use to flip into the air and unleash a heavy slam attack into the ground using your staff. What the third stance is remains to be seen, though players will be able to seamlessly swap between them using the D-pad similar to Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, so you've got the different stances, but you can just switch between them on the go, which is really nice. I do know that the third stance is called thrust stance, but like he said, we don't know what it's going to consist of. I think with it being called thrust stance, there's a very good chance that instead of it being like actual hits with your staff, it's going to be more focused on like jabbing with your staff, and I'm guessing a lot of the heavies is going to be like jabs as well, but like adding in the extension of the staff, so it's kind of like, you know, you're gonna like thrust forward with the staff, and then it extends outwards and hits them as well. So it could be interesting, but we'll have to wait and see that stance specifically, because unfortunately I don't think anyone unlocked it in the demo gameplay they did recently.
Progression. As we touched on earlier, Black Myth Wukong will handle progression through a system of skill trees that will not only be accessible anywhere at any time, but will also let you respec whenever you want. As per Games Radar, the game will supposedly have 3 skill trees. One for passive buffs, one for magic and transformations, and one for your staff and its stances. Defeating enemies will award you with will, which is basically XP, and accumulating enough will and filling up a bar will reward you with a spark, which, you guessed it, is effectively a skill point. Beyond the skill tree, you'll also be able to tweak your gear loadout and modify your staff. Linear levels. Black Myth Wukong is also looking like it's going to be a much more linear experience than your typical Souls-like. Developer Game Science has said that there will be some levels in the game that will feature branching paths, hidden bosses and challenges, secrets and optional quests, and what have you. But by and large, you shouldn't expect the game to feature the sort of semi-open and winding level design that something like Dark Souls would have. Instead, Black Myth Wukong is going to be a mission-based game that will take you through much more linear levels with constant forward momentum.
So I think a good comparison for that is probably going to be, it wasn't a great game to be honest, but just in terms of like how the levels play out, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, I think that's a good example because it's a Souls-like RPG, action RPG that has linear levels, like missions essentially. So essentially that's the kind of layout it's going to be for like the maps and stuff, but I mean I could be wrong, but I think that's how it's going to be.
Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe.
Okay. Man, there's so much to do with friggin' SBI. Yeah, so this is the you'll see it in a bit, the pillar stance. I guess not. Okay, here it is. So he kind of climbs up his staff, and during this, you'll Lilia. I mean, she's avoided bans for another time. She just doesn't seem to get banned, which is great. So essentially, what's happened is he's charged up his focus, so he can do like a heavy attack, and he's climbed to the top of his staff. While you're at the top of your staff, as long as you've got focus, you'll dodge any attacks that would hit you. Hit the bottom of your staff essentially. So it gives you that like slight immunity. But this is like a max damage one he's gonna do. Look at that. Look at that. Just one shots the dragon from like nearly half HP. It's such a clean one. But thank God every day she isn't meta tough. That I remember that as well. It was interesting. Hey, that's my video. I didn't expect to see my video in the top, but sure, I'll take it. I gotta say as well that the artwork I used for the background is so clean. I'm using it as my my PC wallpaper at the moment. It's such a clean image. Right. What did I want to look at? IGN, that was it. There we are, book your test, eye test at Spexos, August. I know, right? Honestly, like I've used the last of my holiday as well with work to just make sure I've got those days off. I am so ready to stream it.
The list of impressive-looking Souls-like games on the horizon is long, with games like Phantom Blade Zero, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, and Wuchang Fallen Feathers all having solid showings this summer event season. But there's always been something extra special about Black Myth Wukong. It's stunningly gorgeous.
I'm not gonna die shamelessly. I'm gonna zero death run. I'm telling you.
The animations are incredibly
It's not gonna
fluid,
be the case,
it's
but
steeped in
yeah.
rich Chinese culture, and there's just something immensely satisfying about playing as a Monkey King, beating up all sorts of mythical creatures with a giant extendable staff. While this isn't the first time IGN has gone hands-on with the game, it is my own personal first time with it, and after 2 hours of playtime with the opening chapter, I somehow walked away even more excited for its August 20th release. IGN China has already done an extensive preview on what Wukong plays like on a late game build, with many techniques, stances, and transformations already unlocked, which is great because my 2 hours covered pretty much the very start of the game. The first thing that I noticed as I started playing was how fluid and fast Wukong feels to control. Many Souls-likes are built on a foundation of slower and more methodical combat, but Wukong feels exceptionally quick and agile. From the beginning, there's actually no block button. Wukong can twirl his staff to block projectiles, but as far as melee attacks go, everything must be dodged. To that end, there's a Bayonetta-style dodge system, where you can dodge up to 3 times very quickly, but after the third one, you're punished with a lengthy recovery time to try and curb people from just mindlessly mashing the dodge button. Perfectly timed dodges will reward you with extra focus, and once your focus bar has been filled, you get a focus point that allows you to chain a strong attack into your light combo string for a big chunk of damage. Later on, those focus points can also be spent on different types of special moves that you unlock in the skill tree, which we'll get to.
I can't wait to see like what other special moves they give us as well, because like the thing with Wukong is it's like there's endless possibility because of like what he was basically capable of doing anything. And with like your transformations and your spells, like it's gonna be so good.
A bit later. Wukong also has access to a number of spells that consume his mana. I only really got to play around with the Immobilize spell, which, as you can imagine, stops an enemy in their tracks and allows you to sneak in a few hits before the spell's effect wears off.
Yeah, I do think that Immobilize is going to be like one of the most used spells in the game, though. Like the fact, because like I said earlier, the fact that you're limited to 3 dodges, but it essentially can buy you that extra time as well. Like, comboing your dodges with that is going to be crazy good.
Stronger enemies, and especially bosses, are affected by the spell much less, and sometimes they were able to shrug it off entirely. Even at just an early stage, combat was a fun dance of actively looking for opportunities to avoid enemy attacks and find openings, keeping an eye on my focus meter so that I can use a damaging heavy attack whenever I had the chance, while also managing my mana and cooldown for my Immobilize spell. Eventually, I got my first transformation, which turns Wukong into an absolute beast, with much stronger attacks and a hugely damaging super attack that he can use out of a dodge if he manages to build up a focus point. One of his moves in this transformation is a lightning fast dash attack that made me feel like I had basically turned into the boss that I got the transformation from. Later on, I added another tool to my repertoire, the Tower Stance, which swapped out my chargeable overhead strong attack for the ability to stand on my staff and avoid damage on the ground.
Honestly, like, think of how cool that looks, right? That is such like a action shot right there. Hey, how's it going, Finn? How you doing? That's such an action shot, just like climbing to the top of his staff, just as the enemy comes in spinning with his attack, and just like dodges it perfectly.
As long as my stamina held out.
And then you can just follow up afterwards and just bonk him on the head with your staff.
Staff long enough for a focus point to charge, I could spend it to leap off the staff, flip it around, and come crashing down with a powerful strike that felt incredibly cool to pull off. These stances, along with my general combat abilities, could all be upgraded through a level up system that works a lot like Sekiro's. As you defeat enemies, you'll gain will, which builds up a bar on the top right of the screen. When the bar is full, you gain a spark, which can be used to purchase upgrades from one of your various skill trees. Once you fill the bar and bank a point, you can't lose it. You can even add that point wherever you want, not just at a shrine, which serves as Wukong's version of a bonfire.
Yeah, no worries.
However, if you die before you manage to fill the bar, a portion of that experience will be lost in typical Souls-like fashion. Don't let that trick you into thinking that Wukong is an easy game though, because it certainly is not. Enemies are aggressive, bosses are relentless, and even more so in their second phase.
I cannot wait to fight Hefengwei. Like, he's gonna be such a fun boss to fight. He looks so difficult to beat, but I reckon he's gonna feel so rewarding once you finally beat him.
Phases, and you only have a scant few restorative potions to keep yourself alive. I also managed to find a secret boss room behind a waterfall that took me to a dragon boss that absolutely wrecked me. Fortunately, you can teleport from shrine to shrine, so you can come back to him much later down the road once you've upgraded your gear and add some more points into your skill trees. And speaking of gear, I didn't manage to find all that much, but I did find enough to at least know that there are sets of armor that grant extra bonuses for wearing multiple pieces of gear from that set. The levels themselves were fairly linear with a couple of branching points that led to some sort of treasure or item.
Tell me about it. I cannot wait.
The boss battles. Even in just 2 hours.
Like, this is going to be game of the year. I reckon it's going to be game of the year. I've said it ever since they the first like previewed it. I said that's going to be game of the year when it comes out. But then like the only concern I've got is like, so apparently the Elden Ring DLC, everyone's giving it like 10s and stuff, which is fair enough because it's, you know, Elden Ring is a very good game and did win Game of the Year, and the DLC is meant to be really good, but I didn't know that apparently DLCs can win Game of the Year. I like the main Game of the Year, which is crazy. I think it should just win like continued support or something, but I want Black Myth to win Game of the Year because it's coming from an indie studio. They're not like a AAA studio like a lot of the companies that win Game of the Year and stuff. Obviously they've had the backing of like Tencent and stuff, but for what they've done originally, because what I didn't realize was they worked on an MMO before this called yeah, so before they, because this is their first like proper game that they've worked on. Before this, they worked on a game called Azura Online. I'll try and find some footage if I can find it quickly. It's kind of hard to find footage of it, but you can kind of see where they've come from because it's very similar. Yeah. So we'll finish this and then I'll throw on the Azura Online footage. But you can kind of see that like the whole art direction hasn't changed. Like what they showed for Azura Online is similar to like the path they've gone with Black Myth.
Hours, I fought against a wide variety of bosses, from a speedy wolf boss that I snagged my first transformation from, to a mule-kicking frog in human clothes, to an extremely difficult two-phase battle against a snake man. All in all, I greatly enjoyed my time with Black Myth Wukong. Even in just 2 hours of playtime, I felt like I got to experience a lot of combat progression.
Okay. So let me grab this now. Let me just move that so I can grab it properly. So this is Azura Online. This was their original game that they worked on. When was it? 9 years ago. It's no longer available. It was a MMO, but this was their main game back in, like their first game they ever worked on. You can kind of see from like the visuals they've gone for. It's very similar to like how Black Myth Wukong is. Just the visuals for like the mountains and stuff are like so similar. Visuals are just like, I know it's only a cutscene, but like this is a 9-year-old cutscene, and like they've kept with the same kind of art style for like Black Myth. So they found like something that works for them, and then they're stuck with it. It's a shame the game's not around anymore because I would have loved to have given this a go. show off your crab monster. Going back quite a bit, to be fair. It's just getting me more hype for Wukong, to be honest. Oh man, honestly, August could not come fast enough right now. Pretty sure this had like a Wukong type character in it as well. So my understanding with Black Myth is, so we're not playing as Wukong. We play it, but Wukong is going to appear in it. Whether we're going to be a descendant of Wukong or like a clone or something, I'm not sure. On top of that, it's focused more on like the enemies from Journey to the West. So a lot of the enemies will appear. So they've shown Hefengwai, which is the black bear. There's, who else have they shown? Oh, I'm trying to think now. I know there's more that they've shown as well. The Spider Sisters. At least one of them is in it. But yeah, they've said it's primarily focused on... Yeah, so it's... from my understanding, it takes place after Journey to the West, but there's enemies from Journey to the West in it, because it's focused more on those enemies than Wukong and the gang, essentially. So you're gonna be like fighting against certain enemies from the book, essentially, coming across them, but I'm not sure how many. The only two I can think of off the top of my head is, three. Hefengwai, which is the black bear, Tiger Vanguard, and the Spider Sisters. That's the only ones that I can think of so far that we've seen footage for. One that I think we might see is Whitebone Demon, because she plays quite a pivotal role in the book, for a while. Maybe Azure Lion. Could see Azure Lion. And then obviously it does look like we're going to be able to see the fight against Heaven at some point. But I think that fight against Heaven is going to be like one of the later missions, or just like it could, to be fair, it could be like an early mission that gives you like a kind of like a retelling, a brief retelling. Ugh. But we'll have to wait and see properly. One way to do it. Music, man. It's not even the game. It's not even Black Myth, but it's so like it just they found like that art style and they wanted to keep it like 9 years later. I know, I can't complain. Black Myth. See, the thing is, right, with Black Myth, I just want it to do well. It would be great if it wins Game of the Year, but this is like the first like kind of big game where it's playing into Chinese mythology, because you got to think like a lot of like popular games are usually quite like Japanese based or like whatnot. Sorry to see, I'm hoping. I'm not sure if Macaque is going to be in it. It would be nice if he is. Yeah, no worries, no worries. I did have a theory early on that we actually play as Macaque, but I don't think that's the case now. I think it's going to be just like a completely new character. Someone, I do want to watch this actually. Someone created this short film for Black Myth, so we'll give that a watch. That was cool.
"我看你像个猢狲，你就姓孙，法名悟空，好吗？" 我这里有隐身潜行变化之术，一种是36般变化，一种是72般变化。
Man, this is so well made. It is wow. And this was done by a fan. This isn't even like official stuff.
悟空，你走吧。从今往后，不准你说是我的徒弟，我也不再见你。此后多行善事，不可作恶，不然我不饶你。并非师父。
Hey, no worries. Thank you for stopping by.
时难
And
留，
enjoy your food.
你业
Take
性
it
未
easy.
除，天理难容，佛祖也不宽容于你。待我写下一纸贬书，从此与悟空不再相见。
This is so good. Took 2 years to create as well. Wow. Now let me post it in chat as well. Oh, there we are. There we are. Post it in chat so you can go drop them a follow and stuff. The headband. It's gotta be, hasn't it? Wow. Oh, it's not even finished. I was saying wow, it's still got like halfway to go. The Sun Wukong into Neo. There's a bit more after the credits. I know, right? I'm sitting there watching stuff. I'm like, the game needs to come out, man. I just want to play the game now. They're getting a subscribe for that. That was so cool. Right, I'm probably gonna take a break from talking about Black Myth because there is very important stuff happening tomorrow, which I'm also hyped for, and I will be, if everything goes well, I will be streaming this tomorrow. So my Elden Ring, I'm up to like date essentially. I think I know where to go for the boss. For the DLC. So I should be able to jump into it. Hey, nice. Have I prepared my character? I logged on. I re-downloaded the game and logged on. My character's kind of in the same state. So I've got like some items to like change my character. I was thinking of, there was a build I was looking at earlier that I might go for, which is a Dex Faith build. So I might quickly change to that tonight, ready for tomorrow. So I pre-ordered the DLC. I've just got to wait for it's going good. How you doing, Sophia? Is it one of... No. So, there's a bunch of new weapon types. I'm currently using Twin Blade. Is it Twin Blade? Pole Sword? Twin Blade? Whatever it is. The double-ended pole weapon with swords either side. Hey, thank you, Sophia. I like a lot of RPGs, stuff like that. So... yeah, that's kind of my plan for tomorrow. Hopefully I can download it in time, and get it all up and running and whatnot. Should be nice and simple. But we'll have to wait till tomorrow to see. I have not played Elden Ring in about a year. Well, I say about a year. I played some last week, some PvP and stuff to get back into it a bit, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so bad. So it's going to be interesting. I am really looking forward to the DLC though. This should have, like, everyone wanted this to come out like a year ago, stuff like that. But everyone, I'm saying everyone is saying how good the DLC is. It's getting like 10 out of 10s, 5 out of 5s. I think Metacritic gave it, 95%, which is the highest rated DLC that's ever come out. So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be so good. Like, I watched this earlier, but we'll rewatch it now.
Is it legal?
Does it smell?
You don't have to smoke it, do you? Is it actually from... Oh my god.
Just gotta get through the...
Welcome back to another episode of Before You Buy, the show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. The highly anticipated DLC for Elden Ring is here, and it is massive. Starting all the way back with the original Dark Souls, From has delivered with substantial add-ons that feel like an essential part of their games. I'm talking about stuff like Artorias of the Abyss, the Clown Trilogy, the Ringed City from Dark Souls 3, the Old Hunters from Bloodborne. These are, like, the platonic ideal of good downloadable content. And what I'm saying here is that Shadow of the Erd Tree has a whole lot to live up to, especially when you compare it to how huge the base game is. Is it one of From's best add-ons or one of its worst?
So I've heard the size of it could essentially be a game by itself. So that is going to be so friggin' good.
Let's get right into it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Rings, let's talk Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree. I will try to keep this as spoiler-free as can possibly be. I'm only going to show bosses and areas that exist in the trailers. It's not trailer footage that we're showing you, it's areas that were featured in the trailers, but still, there's a lot to see, and it does not make sense to show it to you here. Now, I don't think I need to explain what Elden Ring is. If you're watching this, you probably already know. It's Souls, but in an open world. DLC, it's the same format as the base game. It's got an open world map full of little points of interest and legacy dungeons to explore. You start off in this mostly closed off area. It's called the Gravesite Plains, and then from there you're off to the races. Like usual, there's barely an explanation for what's happening or why. You're in the realm of Shadow, some kind of strange alternative world to the main one, and you're following in the footsteps.
Yeah, people always have difficulty with Souls-like games, because the thing with the Souls like Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, there is story there. But it's essentially you've got to go off and find it and do it yourself. But the story is really good if you actually pay attention to it. Elden Ring's really interesting.
Of the last shard bearer you didn't get to kill in the main game, the most precious of the demigods, Mikola the Kind. That's really all you've got to go on, and the plot is, as usual, pretty shrouded in mystery. Unlike previous DLCs From has done, I will say this feels much more connected to the base game, at least on a story level. A lot of the NPCs you meet are servants of the various demigods you slayed in the main game, and the events going on in the realm of the Shadow directly connect to what's going on in the lands between, so lore heads are probably going to go nuts for the DLC. It expands the story of Elden Ring in some pretty interesting ways. Getting here isn't as easy as just selecting DLC in a menu, though. You have to actually make significant progress in the main game to access the new content. For whatever reason, this is just how From does their DLC.
This is one thing as well. I like the way they do the DLC, because rather than it being just in a menu or you get a quest to go there, you've got to find the entrance yourself. They've just shown where it was, and I know where that is, so I'm gonna zoom there tomorrow to just jump straight in. But I like that you have to actually progress through the game to be able to get to the locations for the DLC. I'm just hoping this isn't going to be the only DLC we get for Elden Ring, because I would with how much they're adding, it would be a real shame if we don't get more to bring people back to the game again. When with another DLC later on, maybe next year or the year after.
Find the entrance somewhere in the game world, and if you haven't completed the sometimes arcane requirements to get there, sorry, no DLC for you. It does make it so the content integrates a little more naturally into the main game, but if you just started a new game plus or haven't made a lot of progress in the main game, getting here is going to take a while, and I mean a while. You got to get 2/3 through this 100-hour RPG to even get a chance to fulfill the requirements. It's possible to grind up and skip through huge chunks of the main game so you can get to the DLC faster, but let me just say it right now, I don't recommend doing that. If you go into this thing unprepared, you are going to get your ass kicked. I had to start a new game to get here, which is why I've got such a scrubby set when I started the DLC. Yeah, I'm using the Bloodhound Fang, which, by the way, autocorrect wants to be Bloodhound Gang, but I'm not Siskel, I'm not Ebert, and they would not give me 2 thumbs up for this loadout. In my defense, I was in a hurry, all right? I was not ready. Even though you can get here earlier, this place seems meant for late game players. It seems like it pretty much expects you to have beaten the game for the most part. That's what I'd recommend if you want a smooth experience, because it is super unforgiving. from the start. There's a few ways to make things easier. Shadow of the Erd Tree introduces a few new mechanics. They're DLC exclusive, and they can help out immensely. For instance, the Revered Spirit Ashes that can make your spirit summon stronger. And even better, these things called Scatter Tree Fragments, which increase the damage you do and lower the damage you take the more of them you collect. The catch here is these bonuses only work in the DLC, so there's a progression track that
cool.
can only...
So that you're going to be able to get a way to increase the damage you do and reduce the damage you take, and also buff your Mimic Tier. Because let's face it, Mimic Tier and me are going places. Mimic Tier was such a good summon. What do you really need in any situation? A copy of yourself. That's all you need.
Be followed in the realms of Shadow. It might be a little divisive, but I like how they're implemented personally. Scatter Tree Fragments are mostly found in churches and Michaelis crosses, which are sort of breadcrumb trails showing you the vague direction you're meant to go. As directions, they're not that useful, but it was always a relief to see them because the strength and defense boosts you get from these items are... they're significant. It's a mechanic that rewards players for exploring the world, and even though the boost you get, it's small at first, it really starts to add up after a while, and you can make certain boss fights that seem impossible at first relatively tame once you have enough of them. Like the base game, you can either follow the breadcrumbs or just explore and see what you can find. But what makes this area so different is that you start off in what is essentially the center of the map rather than one end of it.
We've been
and
around
we get a
since
lovely
2001.
advert.
Our customer base spreads.
Given that, one path quickly becomes 2, becomes 3, just spreads out from there. And the map here is a lot more vertical this time around, so you're constantly looking at spots and wondering how the heck you're supposed to get up there. Some people might find that frustrating, but I like the sense of discovery, looking around and trying to figure out how to get to some seemingly unreachable areas. The map might not look that big at first, but believe me, it's gigantic. The landmass is way bigger than I expected. There are huge chunks of the area that are completely optional, too. Visually, pretty much on par with the original game, but the amount of love and detail that's gone into this new area, it is impressive. Everything just has this extra layer of visual polish on it. There's fewer spots that feel empty, and even if they are, there's visual storytelling all over the place. It gives you insight into these lands and, you know, the freaks that live there. There are just some amazing vistas to find that'll make you want to stop and just stare out into the distance or marvel at some cyclopean sculpture. It's just a very cool world to look at. It's not technically impressive.
I'm so curious what they're going to do with the story as well, because, like, I don't want to say too much in case people haven't completed Elden Ring, but there's, like, it's left on a cliffhanger with certain things, if depending on what endings you take. So I'm curious whether they're going to follow on from those and incorporate it into the DLC. If not this one, is it something they're going to add into a future DLC? Because there's a lot that was kind of like left in Elden Ring, kind of like on a cliffhanger. Yeah,
The
maybe.
art design is top notch, and that's what we've come to expect with these devs. One thing the standard game gets rightly criticized for is the quality of the side areas or mini dungeons. You know, the many little tombs and mines you could explore in the regular game. They get filled out in the world, but once you've seen one mine, you kind of seen them all, and they do start to get a little repetitive after a while. And Shadows of the Erd Tree really tries to improve on that with new areas like jails and forges that are essentially just more tombs, but they're a lot more interesting to explore. They have unique enemies and challenges. They feel a little more substantial to explore, not just like repeating barren hallways and caves. They're actually dressed up to feel like they're almost at the level of the legacy dungeons, and that's a big improvement overall. Another thing that makes these places worth finding is they all almost have something new to get. There's loot everywhere. New weapons and talismans and armor sets are just falling into your lap. And a lot of these things have new animations or mechanics. There's just some amazing and powerful weapons to find here. And in another positive, this place just showers you with smithing stones so you can actually upgrade all this stuff, which is good because, like I said, you basically need a maxed out weapon to get much done in this DLC. At level 1, trying to kill even the most basic chump soldiers is, it's like trying to chop down a redwood tree with a pocket knife. which is sort of ridiculous, but that's Elden Ring for you. Speaking of enemies, there's a lot of new stuff here, but also there is a kind of disappointing amount of reuses. A lot of enemies from the base game appear here, and while some of them get new tricks, a lot of them are exactly the same. Another problem from the base game that rears its up.
I don't think reusing some enemies is a huge issue, because like it's a common enemy across the land, so if it means that there's going to be a few in the DLC, I don't think it's an issue.
Ugly head here as well.
Obviously, like, new enemies is good and stuff, but not every enemy needs to be new.
The parts where you're just sort of running by enemies. I'm not talking your regular old Souls walk back after getting killed in a legacy dungeon area. I mean the many open world areas where there's just a ton of random enemies wandering around, and you just ride the Spirit's Dead past them. In the regular game, it was noticeable, but here stands out even more because in general, the open world feels more designed and curated, and it's maybe smaller, more detailed in a lot of ways. So the parts where you're running through, avoiding everything, it stands out as awkward. For the most part, though, the Realm of Shadows is just a joy to get around. It's somehow even more non-linear than the regular game, with a lot of secret paths that can get you to certain areas and completely bypass certain bosses if you want. When I said there's big sections of the map that are optional, I really mean it. Reaching those spots, which I feel kind of like they're secret. They're not secret, but they feel secret. It's some of the most satisfying exploration I've done in a game. It can't be understated just how strange and interesting this map is. Like, it really went all out with the weirdness here. This DLC feels like they're applying all the lessons they learned making Elden Ring, and the open world itself benefits from that the absolute most. It's all so big that it's kind of a mini sequel. I mean, this DLC is easily bigger than many full-price Souls-likes I've played. Not just in terms of landmass either. There's more bosses, more dungeons, more everything, and it's impressive as hell. There's definitely some of that classic From DLC bullshit here, though, for better or worse, might I add. There's a little more platforming and environmental challenges going on here. A lot of the nastiest traps aren't sequestered away in their own special tombs. There is some of the bullshit enemy placement, and probably don't like. There's gotcha traps, infuriating snipers, and confusing environmental puzzles all over the place. It makes each location feel unique, but it does get exhausting after a while, especially when you find yourself getting stuck. Look on the bright side, though, there is always another incredibly hard place to go get killed in. The new bosses, which I'm not going to show a lot of, they are no joke. I'm not sure any of them are quite...
Yeah, I've heard the bosses are, like, going to be insanely strong, so... Like, not all of them, but some of them are going to be, like, really strong and punishing, so... Yeah, you definitely got to go in cautiously.
Quite as hard as Millennia. There's new mechanics that boost your attack and defense, put you on more of an even playing field compared to her, but some of them are definitely close. Do you love absurdly long attack strings that always seem to have one more attack after you think they're over? How about massive area of effects that can trigger on a dime and are nearly impossible to dodge through? How about chaotic screen obscuring effects that make it hard to tell what's going on? Oh yeah, and massive health bars on bosses that can often kill you in a single hit or two, and who attack so aggressively you almost never get your turn to attack back. This DLC's...
It sounds to me like Blade Build is going to be the way to go, and that's what I'm playing right now.
Got all that, and it's somehow even worse than you probably expect it to be. I admit, I used an abused spirit summons to get through this one. Absolute maiden.
You'll get there. I wasn't too keen on... If it's the snow area you're talking about, I wasn't too keen on it because, like, it was so difficult to maneuver because you couldn't... you just couldn't, like, tell where to go and stuff because there's storm. I don't know if there was a way to, like, remove the storm if you find, like, certain things. I never looked into it. I just kind of, like, finally found my way, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not coming back here unless I really need to.
Less behavior. I know. But good lord, some of these bosses are brutal, and I had to use every advantage I could to beat some of these things. That's the DLC overall, though. It's really tough, especially early on. And if you're not rolling with the most overpowered equipment possible, it's very hard. But it's also very satisfying. It's easily From's biggest DLC yet. It's probably one of the biggest of all time, like up there with Blood and Wine from Witcher 3. I think it's probably bigger than that.
Wow,
this feels
that
like
was a
Elden
big
Ring
DLC
1.5,
as well.
both in terms of size and how overall I think the DLC is a more refined experience than the base game. As much fun to explore as the standard game was, playing this game really makes you understand how flat the terrain actually is. And after exploring one or two tombs in the base game, you've basically seen everything you're going to see there. This DLC is very different from that. Everything's special. It all feels handmade. Honestly, even when they're reusing assets. These guys are the masters of using and reusing what they have. And while certain parts of Shadow of the Erdtree can feel familiar, there's a lot of big surprises here and some amazing areas and boss reveals that are easily some of the best in From history. So is this the best DLC From has ever done? Well, that comes down to taste, but just looking at what's here, it's the most fully featured DLC. It may not be as tightly designed as the old Hunters, which is arguably their best DLC, but it's definitely up there in terms of quality.
The Flame
it's huge,
Giant,
but it's not cheap. The
Flame Giant was such a pain because, like, he just it's phase 2 that really messes you up when he's doing his roly poly all over the place.
Price is $39.99, and you do get your money's worth. You could probably finish it in about 20 hours or so if you just push right through.
20 hours. You know what? You could spend $39.99 to get 20 hours minimum of Elden Ring DLC, or you could spend $60 and buy Hellblade 2 to get 6 hours 6 hours worth of visuals. Oh man.
Do the main path, but for completionists, you can easily lose 30 to 40 hours here or more. It can't be understated how big this DLC is. It's almost too big at times.
There's so much replayability and stuff.
The only interaction
with Elden Ring and Souls, like
tapping the dash button to rush through a visually stunning but otherwise empty environment. But for me, not that big of an issue. I kind of like seeing more stuff. If the DLC had been something a little more dense, I think it probably would have been the perfect DLC. But also, I mean, nothing is perfect per se, and very, very, very good is more than enough. In fact, it's more than almost everybody else. If you're into Elden Ring, this DLC...
And that's all you've got to do. Just give us more than anyone else. Hellblade, stunning visuals, 6 hours playtime, 0 replayability. Like, PlayStation, rinse and repeat Spider-Man game. Assassin's Creed. It's the same combat system from, like, the first one. Elden Ring, amazing. It gives us more than anything right now.
Is pretty much essential. Highly recommended. Great stuff. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week.
Right,
Best way to see the first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video.
I want to watch the trailer again because I want to try and look at what weapons there are. I know there's an unarmed one that scales with dex, so I might go for that.
16.
Or I might just stick with what I've got.
Pure and radiant, he wields love to shrive clean the hearts of men. There is nothing more terrifying.
When it first dropped, I gave up and came back. That's fair. That's the thing with Souls likes is like, I think if you played Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, you would have just stuck with it the first time. But because you've gone back and stuck with it, you're obviously you've enjoyed it. It's the grind that you've got to get used to and stuff. But kind of once you get used to it, I haven't even played Sekiro. I wanted to get Sekiro and Bloodborne, but obviously Bloodborne's PlayStation exclusive. God knows why. Like they would make so much money if they just stopped holding on to that as an exclusive and released it on PC and Xbox, because like PC players have been begging for Bloodborne for years, but they just don't want to give it us for some reason. Yeah, I wanted to play. No, we don't have it for PC. I wanted to play Sekiro. I was waiting for it to be on sale, and then when it was on sale, I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up another time. I just never got round to picking it up. I think like with how everything's dropping right now, I'll probably just hold off anyway, because obviously I'm going to spend a lot of time with Elden Ring, which is probably going to see me through till Black Myth comes out. And then God knows how much I'm going to play Black Myth. I am probably going to like play that game so much. I just can't, I can't wait. It's going to be so good.
In that forsaken place, blood must spill. Blood of your fellows. They are truly faithful.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
It's going to be so good. Oh, yeah. Here's one for Vorkar. Vorkar, 3 feet for you, bud. You're welcome, you're welcome. I love that, like, because I think this is one of the first bosses that you fight, and I love that it kind of has that kind of, like, that, lion, what do you call it? It's like a lion dance, aesthetic, isn't it? Let me Google it. Let me make sure it's lion dance. Yeah, lion dance costume. I like big, strong women and thighs. And feet. Yeah, it's such a cool boss though. Yeah, fast. You know what I mean.
Thou truly lordship sanction.
So I don't think this is. I don't think this is Michaela or whatever his name was.
Bereft of light.
I think obviously the person speaking's him, but I think that's just a random boss. That new weapon as well looks pretty clean. The backswords or backblades, whatever they're called, because they're special. At least one of them, they're special. They kind of do like this dash attack. They'll like move you to the side and then dash, and you kind of charge forward into them and then follow up with an attack. We'll watch like a weapon video after. So you got throwing daggers, new sorcery. This is my shit right here. This right here is my shit. That right there, that's me. That's me. I'm gonna go around just kicking everything. Kicking, punching, I
presume you too are keen to know just what kind Mikola is doing here. Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death in the embrace of Vesper's flame.
Come now, touch the withered arm, and travel to the realm of shadow. I will not be far behind. May we meet again.
I I cannot wait, man. Oh, it's going to be so good. Right, let's find the new weapons. There was a video I saw earlier. Here it is. So I was watching this earlier before stream, so we'll give it a quick watch, because it does go over some of the new weapons.
Enemies AoEing them down with dex scaling weapons. One player potent double or heavy large K like the shadowy. They're very, maybe this is part of the process to make them, or they're self-explosive. Other enemies exist cave that goes down, layer by layers and summons. We already looked at the light greatsword and the new colossal sword.
Yeah, so there's a new greatsword coming called I love us talk. The new light greatsword looks really good. It's like a strength weapon, but it's a lot faster than a regular greatsword.
As well as the reverse grip swords. So let's now look at the hand-to-hand fist fighting option. As showcased here, we have a dual-wielded weapon that is you. The light attack combo uses a long string of
just punch and kick everything,
attacks, dealing great stagger in strike-style blows. The heavy attacks are slower, with more of a force behind them, creating those shock waves in the air. The Ash of War, Dry Leaf Whirlwind, is that spinning aerial kick combo we've seen in trailers
look at
before.
it, it's beautiful.
Potent double spin kick into a downward slam from the air, which was so effective, one player spammed that to victory against the boss blindly. Also, they're dex scaling weapons, so it's a very awesome pick for that. Moving on, we have
I think I'm gonna have to at least try them out, if not use them a lot, because I got like 60 in dex right now. So that would be my go-to.
This means you can one-hand it, or if you two-hand it, you get double the amount of thrown knives, which is great. You have the light attack combos, and then heavy, which...
I really like that they've made throwing dagger weapons instead of just being items. It's a cool concept, because now you've got like an actual weapon that is the throwing dagger.
Basically throws slower but harder hitting throws, and then the Ash is piercing throw, which appears to be an even harder hitting but FP costing throw, which may even pierce enemies. The whole setup requires just stamina though if you're not using the Ash, so it is infinite knives to throw, you're not limited. Next we have the new original types of weapons that all come with basic throws as part of their kit. Take the normal axe with a normal moveset. Heavy attack throws the axe, which returns to you after a delay. This can be repeatedly thrown back to back for incredible DPS from a safe distance. I saw that used to kill many of the exploring enemies very easily.
That could be pretty fun, just lobbing your axe at everyone.
Faster output, but with a delay after, so you can't chain them out. But I think this is going to be a lot better for these kind of basic weapons that were underused. Like, for example, we have the new Great Hammer here. Again, normal hammer bonks, very straightforward, but we have the new heavy attack, which causes you to spin multiple times into a throw.
Look at that beauty. Look at that beauty.
They're heavier hits with more stagger. I saw this become quite popular for progressing against the bigger enemies, AoEing them down with hammer throws. Also, there's the new throwing spears, which again do the same thing. You can throw it, it'll return.
Yeah, the throwing spears
like
look nice,
but faster. Our next fist style weapon is the new Beast Claw. These strength scaling fist weapons come with bleed build up passively. As dual weapons, you have fast combo attacks, which are quite visceral here. They're very vertical and slammy and bestial in nature, slamming down at the end of the light combo, while the heavy charge attacks jump and slam down as small gap closers with some serious weight behind them. So expect they will stagger super well. The Ash of War, Red Bear Hunt, is the FP costing air swipes we see. They come out pretty quick, and again, they have real weight behind them, kind of like the heavy attacks.
I like it,
The
I
next
like
weapon
it.
to look at is the new perfume bottles, which do not cost FP to attack at all. In fact, these are dex scaling weapons, and interestingly looking at the stats, they're fully fire as well. So that should be great or horrible at times. In any case, the light attacks create these X symbols in front of you, while the heavy spins around in
It is nice to make perfume bottles a weapon as well.
A basic kick, so maybe we can change these
I'm
to
not
fire
sure
at
yet.
Onash.
I'm not sure.
We'll have to see. I feel like it's going to be more restricted. Moving on, we have the thrusting shield, a shield that's actually a weapon with dex scaling in this case, because this is specifically...
I'm loving how like everything he's mentioned so far deck scaling, deck scaling, deck scaling. Like, I'm literally just using decks right
shield.
now.
It has a basic swing and thrust style moveset, as you might imagine. We have seen a different shield type with a unique Crucible Ash of War as you leap up into the air and dash forward. So there's going to be multiple combat style shields, it would seem. This one was used by a streamer to destroy the boss though, basically just guarding and punishing the open windows, even guard countering until a stagger. This was shockingly easy and effective compared to a lot of the kills I saw. They were also able to critically punish the boss with a shield, so that's awesome. Finally, we have the weapon not shown until now. The new Great Katana. Naturally, it comes with bleed build-up and is one set to keen for decks. I do think there's a chance you could run something like this with strength, but we'll definitely have to see on that. Either way, it is amazing. I think this is going to be very popular. It has a mix of swings, thrusts, and vertical slices that fit the bill for whatever you might need.
So many people are going to be using this.
It could be very vertical. Maybe there's one at a distance you can thrust. Maybe you need to cleave, so the heavies are more horizontal attacks for that purpose. The jump attack looks incredible. The Ash, though, that steals the show. It's the overhead stance. You hold the weapon overhead and then slam down with up to 3 strikes. From looking at it, you seem to be able to do a triple attack or a single. Maybe you can choose. Maybe the heavy attack is a single attack. But in any case, this looks very strong, very versatile.
That looks nice. That looks nice.
But now the weapons are covered, there's also the spells. Unfortunately, we didn't get a look at all of them. They were kind of randomly used. But here's what I did see. The amazing aspect of the Crucible Bloom spawns a flower out of your chest, which summons down these rays of light in AoE around you after a delay. This was shockingly effective against the boss. The damage was really good. There was also the gravitational missile, which seems to spawn in a pull zone at range, but it didn't seem to deal great damage. It might have missed in this footage though, we'll see. There was also a glimpse of something called Miriam's Vanishing, which seems to cloak you for whatever purpose, maybe easier stealth. The amazing Knight's Lightning Spear was used to great effect against the boss though.
Oh,
it's just
that's beautiful.
Lightning style spear throw, but it also spawns in these lightning bolts that fire off after a delay, which absolutely destroys and interrupts the boss really well.
I feel like really jumping on and switching to Dex Faith just so I can use friggin'
These basically
electricity spells
like
and
wings
shit.
from your back in greater number. Glintstone nails were new. It's kind of a delayed glintstone shot that fires from a weird angle, seemingly suitable for PvP. There's also a multiple shot version too. The new dragon style roar, but instead it's a bear. It's called the Roar of Rugalia. It simply roars quickly around you like a Grey Yol roar, but it deals damage over time and then a build up of burst damage at the end. I think that might stagger or cause some kind of effect. It's hard to tell, but it is interesting. Lastly, I also saw the Divine Bird Feathers, which basically hold the arms out to the side, then whip out these kind of shotgun blasts of...
You can play... You can play Zaya now in Elden Ring. There you are.
Repeatedly send out.
You can be an ADC.
It's very cool. Obviously, there was 3 summons shown. There's the classic knight we've already seen. There's the little spectral hand and a bird. Nothing was too interesting with these.
Nah, there's only one. There's only one summon that matters. My boy, the Mimic.
Though the hand seemed to be able to do the AoE slow or maybe stun, but we never saw good examples of it really doing its job. Most people use the...
Yeah, I'm thinking of switching. I was doing a bleed build, but I switched to just like a standard dex with a little bit of bleed, so I can like focus more on like raw damage rather than bleed build up, but still have access to that bleed build up. But yeah, I don't know. I might switch it again. I'm going to have a look later at some builds and decide what I want to go into the DLC with.
The knight. The last thing I want to mention though is the boss itself. Obviously I talked about this in detail in my first reaction video, so in short, it's a stealthy assassin, Omen style of boss. It generates this dark cloud as its main mechanic. It puts you and itself in the dark, which seems to be dispellable. We think it's by generating light yourself, by holding out a torch or a lantern. It is hard to tell the true details of that, but in the worst case, it will make the boss completely invisible. Also untargetable, which is a real problem. If you do summon an Ash though, the AI doesn't care and will accurately attack the invisible boss.
Let's go. That's all you need. Summon an Ash and it will target.
The boss itself deals a lot of damage and fast, but because of that, it's quite squishy and staggerable. So you can definitely cheese it with fast attacks that interrupt the combos, especially if you stagger it, which again I saw multiple times, as well as the shield weapon being great too. But yeah, there you have it. As many in-depth details as I could catch and break down for you. I hope this deeper look at everything was what you were looking for, without having to scroll through it all yourself. If you guys spotted anything else, let us know in the comments. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thank you for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos.
Yeah, let me double check.
On your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on
Elden Ring DLC release date. I'm pretty sure it's tomorrow.
To reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.
We are going to have the first transmog competition.
Just pause that. I don't like that it says the okay, UK. Okay, so tomorrow it's not gonna happen. But that's not bad. Friday we can just play it a shitload. Okay. Kind of sucks that it's 12 AM. I mean, most of the downloading should be done by then. Wait, no, because 12 AM's like midnight. Oh, it's midnight my time. Oh, this isn't good. Okay, so it's not happening tomorrow then. That's a shame. Even if I was like US, it's still gonna be like mega late. Okay, yeah. So that sucks. Okay, Friday then. So we got a bit of prep time. That's all right. I can prep a bit. Right. I actually think I am gonna wait. Give me a second. Oh, I haven't. I've just realised I've had music on the whole time and it hasn't been playing because of I suppose I don't need it on my watch scene anyway. Right, so with it being 12 AM, Friday then we're definitely going to be able to play it. So we'll sit down, we'll jump into the DLC. It's Friday, so we can go quite a long time as well, which is quite nice. So it's going to be a nice little time. All right, let me right, I don't want to go too long tonight. We're already at 2 hours, so probably as long as I want to go, especially seeing the time. 12 AM. 12 AM for me. It's 12 AM my time, so it comes out essentially at midnight on like first thing Friday. So I won't be able to play it till Friday after I get home. Which is a bit of a pain, but yeah. So the plan is what did I put down for tomorrow? Because it's Wednesday today, isn't it? Let me check my schedule, because I'm sure I put... What are you... Okay. Thank you, Naraka, for telling me. Naraka keeps updating me. They keep DMing me, telling me about the promotions and shit. Just leave me alone. I'm in your Discord channel. I don't need you to DM me about it as well. So... that was it. I was going to do Genshin on Friday. Genshin Impact, but fuck that. We'll play Elden Ring. And then I was going to do League tomorrow. So we might... we might do a couple games of League tomorrow. Yeah. Genshin Uwu. Yeah, so Friday we'll do... what's it called? We'll do Elden Ring. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it for tonight. But we've had a good chat about Black Myth. Had a good chat about Elden Ring. Obviously, the Elden Ring, the Black Myth video dropped today. So don't forget to check it out. And I have another video coming out tomorrow. Not related to Black Myth. So it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a little series I'm doing in my free time. So I hope people like it. Anyway, I am going to go relax for a bit and look at some builds for Elden Ring and probably have some food. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learnt a bit about Elden Ring or Black Myth. And I will see you. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we keep a chill vibe around here. Unless I'm playing League, then I just rage. But that's another story. But yeah, we'll play a bit of League tomorrow probably, and then Friday jump into Elden Ring and suffer some more. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching, and I will catch you tomorrow. So take it easy. Bye bye.